Hello students, welcome back to your class of English. In the previous class we discussed about the story Iswaran the Storyteller. Until now we have discussed that this story is about the Iswaran who was actually a cook, but he was considered a great storyteller because of his art of storytelling. That Iswaran uses special effects like voice modulation and the body language, the way that the story seems so realistic to the listener. So this story is narrated by Mahendra, who was actually a supervisor, and Iswaran was his cook. And Mahendra gets captivated and attracted by his story, and Mahendra is actually a supervisor and his job is transferable, and every time he has to shift from one place to another and at different sites like dam, railway bridge, coal mine, or at other various places. And in this situation, Iswaran, who is a great storyteller, is just an asset for him as he entertains Mahendra with his realistic anecdotes, with his stories. So wherever Mahendra goes, Iswaran accompanies him without any complaint. So now let's see what happens next in the story. So we have studied till here that the cook was quite attached to Mahendra and followed him uncomplainingly wherever he was posted. He cooked for Mahendra, washed his clothes, and chatted away with his master at night. He could weave up endless stories and anecdotes on varied subjects. And Iswaran also had an amazing capacity to produce vegetables and cooking ingredients seemingly out nowhere, in the middle of the desolate landscape with no shops visible for miles around. So here Mahendra is telling that Iswaran had a great capacity to arrange all the cooking ingredients even at such places which are really inhabited, actually not much populated. And he had a great capacity to produce all the ingredients from such shops which even you can't see in your nearby area. So here Mahendra tells Ganesh that Iswaran was a great cook, and whenever they shifted to a new location, he would gather all the vegetables and other ingredients required by him to cook in no time. So as they lived at places which was not inhabited by many people, in temporary shelters with roofs made of metallic sheets, and he tells that it seemed like a magic, and gathers all the ingredients out of nowhere. Mahendra would up early in the morning and leave for work after breakfast, carrying some prepared food with him. Meanwhile, Iswaran would tidy up the shed, wash the clothes, and have a leisurely bath, pouring several buckets of water over his head, muttering a prayer all the while. So as a part of his routine, Mahendra would wake up early in the morning and always get ready and leave for work after eating his breakfast, which was prepared by Iswaran. He would also carry his lunch along him, and after Mahendra left, Iswaran would clean their living place, wash all the dirty clothes, and have a nice bath by pouring at least 2-3 buckets over his head. And here muttering means speak in a low voice, in a whispering voice. So all the time Iswaran was in the habit of muttering or whispering a prayer. And he really fond of taking leisurely bath, means to take bath in a relaxed manner, and by pouring more than 2 buckets of water over his head and body. It would be lunch time by then. After eating, he would read for a while before dozing off. The book was usually some popular Tamil thriller running to hundreds of pages. Its imaginative descriptions and narrative flourishes would hold Iswaran in thrall. So here let's take a look on the word meanings. Dozing off means falling asleep, and narrative flourishes means detailed description. Enthrall means the state of being in someone's power. So after doing all the work like cleaning the house, cleaning the living place, taking the bath, after that Isran took the lunch every day, and after that he took his lunch and read his favorite book, which is in Tamil language. Isran would get carried away with all the details and descriptions given in the book that he read. Then he would go off to sleep. So after just completing all his routine works and after reading his one of the favorite book, which is a Tamil thriller, after that Isran would go to sleep. His own descriptions were greatly influenced by the Tamil authors that he read. When he was narrating even the smallest of incidents, he would try to work in suspense and a surprise ending into the account. For example, instead of saying that he had come across an uprooted tree on the highway, he would say, with eyebrows suitably arched and hands held out in a dramatic gesture, the road was deserted and I was all alone. Here Mahendra tells Ganesh that as Isran was in the habit of reading stories with detailed descriptions, so whenever he tells the stories to Mahendra, then his own stories were got influenced by those thrillers or those stories whatever he read. And when he was narrating even the smallest of incidents, here Mahendra is telling that whenever he was narrating or he was dictating about even a smallest incident of his life, then he would create suspense and a surprise, which made it more interesting for the readers to listen. Then he gives an example that instead of saying that he was walking down on the highway and he came across a tree which had broken and fallen on the road, Isran would use his facial expressions, his gestures, his bodily gestures to narrate it. Instead of saying it in a simple words, he would say that the road was empty and he was all alone. This would create suspense in the listener's mind that what would have happened, that the road was empty and he was going alone and there was a tree that was uprooted, that was fallen down. So instead of saying it in a simple words, he would always create interest by adding some ingredients of suspense and mystery. Suddenly, I spotted something that looked like an enormous bushy beast lying sprawled across the road. I was half inclined to turn and go back, but as I came closer, I saw that it was a fallen tree with its dry branches spread out. Mahendra would stretch himself back in his canvas chair and listen to Isran's tales uncritically without judging them. Then, just to narrate even a simple incident, he would create a platform. He will create a suspense by saying that one day he was going alone on the highway and it was all alone and there was a tree that was fallen down, and then suddenly he saw that there was a huge tree lying across the road. As he walked ahead, his mind was telling him to turn and go back. As he reached closer, he saw that it was a tree that had fallen and was lying on the road. So the branches of the trees were spreaded out. Bushy beast here, he has narrated bushy beast to trees. So he has given a name, bushy beast, to the tree. Suddenly I spotted something that looked like an enormous. As we know that the trees are usually very big and huge. So here Isran is telling that in his story that when he was going alone on the road, there was a bushy beast, actually a tree that was fallen across the road. And when he was half inclined, means half interested to go ahead and was wanted to go back. But as he went closer, he saw that it was a tree, as its dry branches were spreading out. So Mahendra was just sat in his armchair in a relaxed way to listen to Iswaran's stories without judging them. Uncritically means without any judgment. So here Mahendra just wanted to accentuate that even though he knew that some of the stories were not true, but the way in which Iswaran narrated them was so interesting that Mahendra wouldn't say anything and listened to him quietly. The place I come from is famous for timber. Iswaran would begin. There is a richly wooded forest all around. The logs are hauled onto the lorries by elephants. They are huge, well-fed beasts. When they turn wild, even the most experienced Mahout is not able to control them. Here, the first word, that is timber. Timber is actually a type of wood that is used or processed for the commercial use. And hold means transported. So here Mahendra recollects another story told by Iswaran on one occasion. Iswaran said that his native village was the place from where he came was surrounded by a huge forest which was full of trees. The huge log of timber was sold for commercial purposes and they were transported onto the vehicles by the elephants. They were huge elephants, as if they became mad, they became wild, out of control, and the Mahout would not be able, even the experienced Mahout wouldn't be able to tame them, to control them. So this introductory session was followed by a detailed story involving an elephant. Here now we next witness that how interesting story he just weave out in this narration, in this context. That first he told Mahendra that he just came from a place which is famous for the wooded forest and which is transported to the other places for his a timber for his commercial purposes, and the elephants here are so huge that if once they get tame, if they once get mad or wild, it really become very difficult for another or anyone to control them. Now let's see. I hope, my dear students, you can guess that what would happen next. You will really amazed, you will really surprised that how or which type of story he would narrate the next. I hope now the chapter as we have been doing is clear to you. You are understanding well. So let me ask you a few questions which you have to do in your notebooks. So kindly now note down the questions. Yes, the question number 1 is, who was Iswaran and what did he do for his master? I repeat, who was Iswaran and what did he do for his master? And the question number 2 is, what type of life did Mahendra lead? What type of life did Mahendra lead? And the next question is, in what way is Iswaran an asset to Mahendra, or why was Iswaran called Mahendra's asset? And the next question is, what influenced Iswaran's style of storytelling? What influenced Iswaran's style of storytelling? So I hope you would be able to attempt all these questions after watching this video carefully and after reading this chapter. So till the time, keep on doing your work, stay happy, stay safe, stay at home. Thank you very much.